in 2012, I got traded to a new team that was actually really excited to have me. And it was the first time in a long time where a team had some expectations to kind of pile on me. And so I was joining a brand new team where they were excited to have me and expected kind of big things from me. So this was a situation where I came in with more pressure than I normally had. And ordinarily, like, my rookie year in pro ball, I made the team out of spring training, and it's kind of a blank slate. I just competed and did my best, and my best was good enough. And no one really expected anything more. It's just like I just was who I was. But this second season, when I got traded, I was coming off a pretty good first half, and then I joined their team, and suddenly I was expected to do a certain job. I was expected to do well and to join a very successful team, a perennial winner in Fargo, North Dakota. And to me, I felt that pressure. So I didn't pitch well initially, and I felt even more pressure get heaped on because I was trying to fit into this team and prove that I was valuable, prove that I was as good as people had kind of thought I was, and I wasn't. So it put a lot of pressure on me, and it was largely just self-imposed. So things got worse. I didn't pitch well at all. It kind of got worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where I just had so little trust in my ability that I just expected to fall behind accounts. I expected guys to hit me. I just expected to basically just to go out there and lose. Like, I just didn't know how this next time would be any different than my previous time. And it's really hard to compete, I'm sure, in any sport. Obviously, my expertise is in baseball, but how can you go out there and win when you don't expect to win? When you expect to lose, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the self-fulfilling prophecies they're everywhere. It's basically the kind of funny adages, whether you expect to win or expect to lose, like, you're right, either way. And when high achievers talk all the time about how I expected this to happen. Like, I constantly visualize myself getting this job that I wanted, or making this team, or hoisting this trophy, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when you say that you can over and over and over. It gives you the strength to actually do it. And when you say you can't and you doubt yourself and you say, I probably can't throw this pitch in that count, or I can't make this shot, then yeah, you can't. Like, mentally, you're not going to have the strength to allow your body to do what it needs to do. So this was an ongoing battle that whole season for me in Fargo. And I had lots of coaches and players just kind of in my ear giving me advice, and it was all sound. They said, look, like, you're as good physically, like, you throw harder than most starters. Your curveball is really sharp. Like, your changeup is pretty good. Like, you've got all the tools to be as good as anyone in this league, but you don't believe in yourself, like, at all. And they're like, the thing that unites all these really, really good players, guys in the majors who aren't physically much more talented than you, they just have, like, this crazy belief in themselves. They think anytime they get hit, it's a fluke. They lose a game, they give a couple home runs, like, whatever. Like, that was just a fluke. Like, I'll dominate next time. They have this arrogance and this shield against that self-doubt and that anxiety and those nerves and all that stuff. And they don't let any of that stuff break through that armor. And for me, I didn't have any armor left. I just let all those kind of arrows of anxiety and doubt just pierce deep into me. And it was really, really hard, and it kind of snowballed and spiraled, and I didn't really find a way out that season. I found a way out next season when I started to meditate and I visualized myself succeeding, and it really just reversed that pattern, which is why I know the power of all this stuff. But self-doubt and your self-talk is just critical. If you're out there and the voice in your head that honestly you produce is telling you defeating thoughts and saying you can't do this, like, you're not as good as him, like, you don't belong to be out here. I've given advice to kids that go off to college, especially to bigger schools, and say, don't go to this school unless you can believe, or you do believe, that you can beat the best schools in this country. Because if you're going to this school, they're giving you a scholarship, not to just be an average player. They're giving you a scholarship because they believe you can one day beat this school in their conference, to beat this guy in the conference tournament, to get their school where they want you to go. They don't draft guys they don't think can be major leaguers. They know that some guys have a better chance than others, but ultimately you're there for a reason. And if you don't believe that you're there for a reason, which is to dominate your competition and your conference and whatever, then you're just in the wrong line of work and you need to fix that. So for me, I just got to that dark place where I just didn't believe I could do anything. And it was true. It was true because I believed it to be true. And the next year, my physical skills didn't really change. I didn't throw much harder. I didn't throw any harder. My curveball was the same. My changeup was the same. Obviously, I worked on all those physical things that winter as well, but there was very little physical to change and a ton of stuff mentally that changed. And it made all the difference because I just believed that I could make any pitch that I wanted. And I believed that I belonged on that mound. I believed that I could get to the places that I ultimately wanted to go. So your inner dialogue of self-talk, the things that you tell yourself, and sometimes it's just like the devil on your shoulder or the angel on your shoulder, whichever you want to call it. They're just like in your ear constantly. And it's who do you listen to? Do you listen to the one that's positive or do you listen to the one that's negative? Do you listen to the one that's kind of like, don't press too much, or the one that's aggressive, right? They all have different sort of back and forth chatter. And it's up to you to frame the conversation that you want to have with yourself and to help the ultimate output, which is your performance on the field, be what you want it to be. All right. So don't underestimate the power of your self-talk, because whether you believe you can or you can't, you're going to be right.